Good afternoon, everybody. This is Score Cleveland, and the session is being recorded. If you are attending now, you will receive a link to the recording and also the slides. And I'm going to turn it over to Dave Lupin, who's the presenter.
Thanks, Ted. Good afternoon, everyone, on this beautiful fall afternoon in the Northeast. So today is our last, excuse me, today is our last presentation in developing and commercializing a new product. What I want to do today is, first of all, we'll go through some score slides, and then we'll talk about the commercialization part, which is probably the most difficult part. So just for those of you who don't know what SCORE is and are new to our webinar series, we're the largest network of small business mentors in the nation. Our primary focus is small business and helping everyone succeed. We all know that small business drives our national economy, and our focus is there as directed by the SBA and Congress. Our national impact, this is nationally now, not our region, not our area, but over 2023 in the United States, we started over 31,000, helped start over 31,000 new businesses. So you see the impact of what SCORE does, and post-pandemic, there have been more businesses started in the last 3 years than there has been in the last 30 years, as defined by the Small Business Administration. So I advise everybody, if you would like a mentor, go to your regional or metro site in your specific city and just simply click Find a Mentor. For those of you who are predisposed to QR codes, here's one right here that you can snap a picture of, and it gets you there immediately. So, in wrapping up here, our services are free. We provide everything at no charge. You have at your disposal some of the smartest people, some of the wisest people who have been up and down the corporate ladder and have started their own businesses. We're at your service at no charge. We are free because we have the support of these partners and would like to recognize them for their generous support, which allows us to provide small businesses with entrepreneur education and business advice, which is critical to the growth of our economy. So let's get into it. It's commercializing your good idea. We've already talked about how to vet that idea. We've already talked about how to develop a prototype and get it into the hands of early adopters. Here are some logos of some folks that we have worked with and have been very successful at doing that. I want to start by saying that, the old adage, the goal of every startup is to make your competition recognize you as a problem. It doesn't matter if you're Budweiser looking at Fatheads Brewery or Marriott looking at Airbnb. The latest addition to this is on the top right corner. We see this thing called Mando whole body deodorant. The people at Secret and Right Guard are saying, what is going on here? Just because they're saying 72-hour protection, does that make them special? Now they're concerned about Mando taking market share away from those top brands. So today we're going to cover sales. Now, I'm not the greatest salesperson in the world, but on my path of developing new products, I've worked with sales and marketing folks who were just simply excellent. And I followed them with a notebook and a pencil, and I wrote down as much as I could. And I want to share some of these insights with you, and hopefully you can take something away that will benefit your launch. We'll talk about B2C and B2B. I want to stress again the dynamic or the importance of a dynamic value proposition. I can't stress enough that it is the platform and the basis of which every sales and marketing effort is based on. The best or the better the value proposition, the more successful you will ultimately be. I'll show you the 3 rules for any new product launch as told to me by the folks at QVC and Home Shopping Network. I presented 2 new products actually in my career to these folks, and they were on TV. And, we made a lot of money there. Okay, creating a sustainable business. How do I inexpensively build a brand? If you're in the B2C space, probably as important as the product itself is the brand. And if you're in the B2B space, it is also important, and it will promote and launch you even further into that category with newer customers, newer opportunities, if they recognize uh, a brand that they can trust and respect. And lastly, we'll talk about licensing. Excuse me. Now, some of you may not be particularly inclined to run a business. It is difficult. It requires more than 8 hours a day of work, and often requires 7 days a week. But if you go about licensing a product, you can make money and make money in perpetuity by licensing your idea and getting a licensing fee for that product or idea. All right, the value proposition. Now, last time we talked about the best value proposition anybody could have is Shopify. Excuse me. They simply say anyone, anywhere can start a business. And that has propelled them, again, into one of the best online marketplaces in the world. This particular company was a SCORE client. They are currently located in the city of Cleveland as a startup. And these folks make fabric sensors that are embedded in the clothing of an athlete and can measure the electrolytes and give you a personalized output for wellness and optimized athletic performance. That is their value proposition. And when you see that or hear that, you're saying, what? Really? You can measure the electrolytes in my perspiration and then my metabolic process for success. Very powerful. So that value proposition allows us to create the first rule of the QVC playbook. A powerful value proposition, compelling and meaningful, explains in one sentence why your product is better or improves the life or experience of the user. Essentially, your 11-second elevator speech with just a little bit more oomph behind it. And that is what you start your explanation with in your sales pitch. You have to provide a reason to believe, which is basically the product technology or your secret sauce. Often you say patent pending, proving that it's innovative. But the reason to believe is the explanation in very short, in a very short few words that describes why this product is better than the competition or improves the life experience of the user in a way that has not been done before. And lastly, and probably the most importantly, the wow demonstration. This is a visual example of what the product does. Now, this could be applied to a service or a physical product. It can be applied to any new to the world item that you are launching. The human brain works on understanding visually what the process or the product is. So if you can provide a visual explanation um, then you have the customer at your disposal. The the perfect example is cleaning products, as you see to the left. One is a before and one is an after. One is a comparison of their product to the competition. QVC lives and dies based on the ability to show this visually as they're a television medium. Some of the best value propositions is, you go to YouTube and look at any iPhone launch, whether it be the iPhone 16, the brand new one, or the iPhone 4, a 15-year-old phone. It's basically the same. They will show you immediately why this phone is better and why it differentiates itself. The reason to believe, as you see there in the lower left, is the obvious Intel inside. You can open up any computer and there is a little sticker that either says Intel inside or something else that is similar to Intel. My laptop right here is saying Intel Core, which is probably an updated version of the Intel processor. The wow demonstration. Oh boy, the as best as you can get is Flex Seal. Some of you may have heard of a product called Plexiderm. It is a product that removes eye bags and wrinkles. They literally will put the product on one eye and not the other, and they'll look right in the camera, and you can see that visually up close and personal. The Plexiderm does a tremendous job, a very obvious job of removing the bag and the old age circles and wrinkles from under the eye. All right, let's talk about beginning strategies. Now, some of you may know that I started a specialty soap company in our last presentation. I didn't really, but it's an example of what we can do. I went through my value proposition, I developed my prototype, and how I found my early adopters to give some samples to in my beta test. So my value proposition is experience the sense of South Asia. I've recognized some of these scents to be highly luxurious, highly sought after, and leaving a memorable, pleasant experience after you use the product. So, what are my sales channels? What are my choices? For a product like mine, I could go into B2B. I could sell to a distributor like Gojo, for example, or Spartan Labs that will sell to restaurants and hospitals. Or I could sell to specialty niche craft shows, people who value luxury products. Certainly try e-commerce. We'll talk about Amazon and we'll talk about other avenues of e-commerce. And lastly, I could try B2C retail, brick and mortar. I could knock on some doors and talk to buyers at Bath and Body Works, for example, and ask them or propose to them a program with my product so it could be at their retail shelf. So I have a number of choices here. What I'm going to do is examine my best channel. So the rule of thumb in the best channel is simply where you have the easiest time of getting any traction whatsoever. What is your lowest hanging fruit? It could literally be the farmer's market that you and your wife go to every weekend. Set up a booth there, begin selling a product like specialty hand soaps there. It could be, if you're into the service sector, it could be starting small. Just get enough people looking at your product, looking at your service, and paying you something. Because once you start getting to the point of processing POs, purchase orders, and having to fulfill a demand with a product or a customer, then you're understanding the routine of revenue generation and what it takes to actually produce revenue that will pay for your bills every month. Some tactics you may have. You are the main salesperson. I know a lot of entrepreneurs out there dislike this task um, the most, especially if you're an introvert, especially if you are an engineer, somebody who has built the product. You're tasked with actually going out there and becoming the evangelist for the product. You become the main salesperson. It is probably the best way to touch your customer, to understand why they want your product, and to understand the demand behind the product. It is tough, but it is necessary. You could hire a sales team, but you need money for that, of course. So you have to generate investment money before you hire anybody. You can sell to a distributor. This is a path to go to if you are certainly looking at B2B, but B2C businesses also will buy from a distributor, especially in large volumes. And a distributor simply will ask you to ship it to them. They have a warehouse and they take it from there. A commission sales rep, you know, I will pay you 10% of sales if you take my product into your already built up relationship with this particular customer. For example, I know a fellow here that has a very strong relationship with a national drug chain. And so any of my clients that have any product close to what that drug chain currently offers as a product, I will hook them up, and that fellow can work with that entrepreneur, that new business, to try to get that product into that national drug chain. E-commerce. We'll talk a little bit about this. A lot of folks think it's pretty easy. Actually, it's pretty hard. And lastly, license your product. As we mentioned earlier, some of us may not be inclined to run a company, but licensing a product allows you to generate revenue and income from your idea. So e-commerce, paths to market. We can create a Shopify cart on our own website. Probably the best way to get your foot in the water is to develop that website, get that website in the public domain, link it to some other websites, and start selling. This is a seminar in and of itself. I'm not going to go into a deep here, as it is very complex to build that website. More importantly, to build a website that is amenable to selling your product. There are many types of websites, informational, etc. But a commercial website, an e-commerce website, there's a science to it. So the beauty of this is you're learning what your customers are saying. Any way you can generate a 5-star review, that is the mother's milk of commercialization in today's economy. The first thing a new buyer will ask is, what is your website? Can I see some 5-star reviews or any type of review on your product? Some folks I know create YouTube communities, and YouTube is an interesting way to sell your product. The use of video demonstrations linked to your site or another site. If we go back to the WOW demonstration, a visual explanation as to how the product works and what it does is probably one of the most powerful tools you can use. And then there's Amazon. I work closely with a client that has built an Amazon business. very impressively. He started selling 20, no, the number is about 10,000 a month. He started selling in dollars. It is now 400,000 a month, but it has taken him 2.5 years, a little over 2.5 years, to hit that amount. What he has done, and the secret to that success, is he's hired an Amazon consultant. That Amazon consultant is essentially a product manager for the product line and an account manager for the Amazon business. You have to look at Amazon as a distributor, but Amazon, it reaches worldwide. It has its tentacles in every country, and it is one of the most popular commercial websites in the world. And to work with them, you need somebody to generate um, content, meetings, goals, objectives that Amazon requires every month and every week. Selling through Amazon, there are two ways. Some of you may know this already. You can sell direct to your customer, or you can have it fulfilled by Amazon. Selling direct to your customer requires, again, the time, effort, and energy to work with Amazon to get your product in a landing page environment that is easily recognizable and desired by the potential customer. But fulfilled by Amazon, again, I say the best advice: hire an Amazon consultant, because I will show you this. It is the cost structure when products are fulfilled by Amazon. Half of what you think is your gross margin turns out to be taken by Amazon, whether it be in the fees, the shipping, the FBA fees, which are different than the Amazon fees. They have advertising costs, the promotions and advertising needed in terms of the promotion, and other miscellaneous. So you see there, my customer here had $4,000 in sales, and by the end of the process, from April 29th to May 4th, he had $2,000 left over. The Amazon story is based on social media. Some of you may already know this, but the more content you can have regarding your product or your company, trade shows, website, email blasts, constant contacts, MailChimp, anything that you can do to support a social media program will support Amazon. And this Amazon algorithm absorbs that information and generates higher ranking in the pages. Very difficult to explain and requires probably a half an hour just in understanding, how Amazon does that. For service-based companies, Google search ranking is of paramount importance. You already, for those in the service business, whether it be HVAC, plumber, an optometrist, optometrists near me is when you get when you Google optometrists. And to have that ranking, you need an accurate Google business profile, and you have to have good reviews. As I said earlier, the number of reviews and the quality of the reviews are the mother's milk in generating interest and success around your launch. So some specialty or niche websites are often overlooked when we launch. Like, for example, if I've invented a squirrel-proof bird feeder, I probably would not go to Amazon. I probably would not go to Ace Hardware. I probably would not go to anybody that sells existing bird feeders or bird accessories nationally. I would look at a email or an e-commerce site very similar to woodlink.com. It is specializing in bird feeding accessories or birding or ornithology, and you could probably generate some sales. You could probably get some good reviews. Other niche websites for my soap, I would look at Caswell Massey. They specifically state they're looking for luxury products in soap and cosmetics. And that would be my first attempt at looking at sites that carry products very similar to what I'm developing and want to launch. You know, for those of you who are cooks, everything kitchens, you know, you would not go to a restaurant supply company. You would try to find some niche that cooks and gourmet chefs will look at on the internet, and everything kitchens is certainly one of them. Even pickleball, golf training aids. Maxi Aids is a excuse me, a site that services senior citizens. And for those who are disabled and require aid in handling everyday activities. So you see there are a number of small, easy to approach um, distributors in various categories that can help you get started. I have to talk about this, you know, eBay, Etsy, those are the established ones besides Amazon, but there are some newer platforms. You know, Range is a site that retail buyers specifically look at because their boss wants them to buy the next best thing. So you can find your way onto this website and see if you can generate some sales or some interest. And of course, jet.com, you know, I've never been to these or to Jet, but they believe they can challenge Amazon. Excuse me. Let's talk about brand building. You have to understand that a brand is a tangible asset and is economically valued. Now, what does that mean? That means when your CFO or your accountant creates line items for your businesses or for your business and creates an asset list. Brand is an asset. The brand has money and value attached to it, associated with it. And so when you sell a business, that brand equity, or as the accountants like to call it, goodwill, is worth something. So the money you spend in building a brand comes back to you as an investment for further use, whether it be an exit of your business or an expansion of your brand into other categories. How do I build a brand inexpensively? Oh boy, that's probably the number one question I get asked, and some of the or one of the most desired projects from a client basis. The pets, sport and leisure, personal care and cosmetics, food service, senior citizens, each one of them has their own pathway. The most expensive pathway to brand building, I can tell you very honestly, is personal care and cosmetics. There is no amount of money that you cannot spend in this category. It requires continual promotion, advertising, and brand awareness. And that's just the way it is because it is such a crowded category. It is an unregulated category, and folks can jump in with a low barrier to entry and start selling everything from lotions to creams to soaps, as I would like to, and my Dave's scented soap business. But I know that if I jump into this and want to go national, I have to pay the price here. If you ask me what is the lowest barrier to entry in terms of financial investment, I may say sport and leisure. There are plenty of trade shows and much demand. Um, the first thing you do, this is right out of Marketing 101. If you want to build a brand, you have to claim your territory. Safety, Volvo, Jeep, off-road. These two brands would never compete in the same arena. Crest fights cavities. Colgate gives you whiter teeth. I mean, there are so many examples. You can go on and on and on. Here's a little bit more down to earth, smaller brands. 72-hour protection is the Mando brand that has just been released on national TV versus Secret versus Right Guard. See, the executives at Secret are saying, what, 72-hour protection? Ours does that. Why are they saying it? Well, that is just enough of a value proposition to create interest. Maybe they've done some focus groups. Maybe they found that a whole body deodorant that gives you 72-hour protection is meaningful. And they come back and they pound that relentlessly. Skechers versus Nike. Boy, Skechers has developed itself into the number 3 brand in America regarding shoes. Nike is number 1. Skechers simply says, tennis shoes, something can be done to make this easier to slip on. They've generated a product that is by far the number 1 selling shoe in the last year. The slip-on has solved a problem and generated a solution that everybody understands. And and they're competing against Nike and others and overtaking them. QVC, building a brand on this format is probably the best bang for the buck. It's great for results-oriented products. Excuse me, any cleaning, beauty, fashion, tools, jewelry, anything that you can demonstrate visually, they will work with you. You're probably thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, they'll never accept me. But they would if you, abide by those 3 principles that I told you about and go through the paperwork. Take your time, be patient, and work with them. They love small US-based entrepreneurs. That is something that you could put in your pocket as a very positive here as you move forward with these folks. The American success story is what they live and die on. They can sell that as good as anybody. The downside to them is they have high margin needs. They want to make some money here. They have to pay those television expenses. But if you have a product that costs little, but you can sell for a lot, this is the ideal format. Simple to fill out the website application form. I've done it. I've talked to them a number of times. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And lastly, for a B2C company, it is by far the highest impact brand building exercise. Again, use the playbook. Here are some examples. All of these brands have started out, whether it be Central Mountain Coffee, Clio and Coco, footwear company, they're generating sales. They're working with, QVC is working with these folks to build inventory, get them on TV. They will give you 90 seconds, for example, at 1 a.m. in the morning, but their metrics are so sophisticated, they will understand within the first 30 seconds of the sales pitch if your product would be successful. If it meets their metrics of so many sales per minute, then you come back again and they'll bring you back for as often as you have inventory or they have room and availability. For B2B entrepreneurs, here's the big question. Should I sell to distributors or should I use manufacturing reps? A distributor, be careful in the sense that they need a reason to sell your product. They have many other products, maybe many other products in your category that they have to sell also. The reason you often give them is the ability to make more money with your product than others. And sometimes you have to sacrifice margin because they have to decide, am I going to go for easy high volume or am I going to work for high margin? By that, I mean, a good example of this is paper products in I&I janitorial markets. No one makes any money at selling toilet paper or paper towels. 5% gross margin is high in these categories. But you just show up with your truck and you drop the product off because there's a continual need for toilet paper and paper towels. Some other products, like for example, antimicrobials in Jansan and institutional cleaning, you have to explain how the product works. You have to explain how to use the product, where to use it. And the distributor doesn't want to necessarily take the time to do that, but the margin is much higher in a product like that than something like paper towels. You would have to train a group. You would have to literally conduct classes for that distributor. If they have 10 guys who are on a territory in New England, you would literally have to go to Boston, set up a training session, and teach the distributor how to use your product. They will purchase your product in large volumes if it's successful and inventory it. So you just simply put it on a truck and ship it. If you use a manufacturer's rep, this is a more relationship-driven environment. They work specifically with a special purchasing person that they may have known all of their lives. They will have fewer customers than a distributor, but the ability to generate higher volume per customer. They only provide a business arrangement. They won't carry your inventory. You have to ship to your customer. The best example is they will pick you up at the airport. They will drive you to the customer. They will provide the introduction, and then you take it from there. They work on a commission basis, and it moves all over the place. It could be anywhere from 10 to 20% to as low as 5%, depending on the price and how fast moving the product can be. Again, this slide here is worthy of a half an hour in discussion, but I want to give you the overview just to get a feel for the opportunities that you may see there. A trade show. I love trade shows, whether it be B2B or B2C businesses. I participated in both. And it's a 2-day show, maybe a 3-day show, but it may cost you some money, but it is worth it because it's the best for meeting customers. It's the best for finding out who the distributors and reps are and actually doing a deal. You can legitimately walk away from this a trade show with customers in your pocket, ready to ship that Monday. They will place orders there. And if you want to license a product or your idea, it is great for meeting the competition. It is great for meeting other similar companies that are, want to grow and looking for new ideas. So let's talk about licensing and wrapping up here. Again, I don't want the responsibility of starting a company because I have other ideas that I may want to license also in different categories. But you must have a patent. It is so important because that patent then becomes the item that you're selling. The patent is a tangible asset that a company will pay you for. And we talked a little bit about this in part 1, and I hope you may have the slides to part 1. Simply ask Dan or anybody at SCORE for those slides, or view the webinar itself. which is in our library. If you want a license, let's go through step 1 and step 2. Apply for a provisional patent. It is not very expensive. It's probably $1,000 to $1,500 actually. It lasts 1 year, allows you to say patent pending. And for that 1 year, you can knock on doors and make phone calls and find some interest for the product or idea. Step 2, excuse me, you can outline your list of companies. My rules of thumb are never go to number 1, always go to somebody who with lower market share, smaller companies, because they want to be number 1 and they are looking for new ideas and they are more aggressive generally. Find a company with a large distribution network. A regional player, not a good target. You want a national player. They have a track record of innovation. They love new ideas. There are companies out there who always are looking for new ideas, especially family owned. You'd be surprised that family may run the business for 30, 40 years, and they will take a chance on innovative products. And again, for those introverts out there, don't be shy, please. Everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody wants to know what the new idea is, what the next and best thing is. So they want to talk to you. Don't be shy. The best approaches, the right company, as I talked about, timing is important. Sometimes it's not going to work. And the person you want to talk to has either been promoted or downsized or they just don't want to talk. Crowded competitive industries are best because they're always looking for the next best thing. If you're going to cold call, which is totally fine, look to senior level marketing. Do not approach R&D. Do not approach the sales group. Look to senior level marketing or the CEO itself. These are one and the same. The senior level marketing department and the CEO have the same interests for the business. And, they would share their same desire to move the business forward. The trade show environment, as I said, works great. It is unbelievable what you find there. I've had such great successes at trade shows. Convince them that you are the expert. They want to rely on somebody that they trust. And if you can convince them that you are the expert in this technology, in this product, it is a shorter path to have them sign a check. And there is no standard deal, speaking of signing checks. And everybody asks me, well, what is a good licensing deal? Well, a good licensing deal is whatever you can get. There is no standard deal. You want a percentage, 5, 10, 15% of sales. Generally, if you are in a fast-moving product, generally lower commissions are seen there, 5 to 7 to 8%. If you are in a slower moving seasonal product line, then 15 to 20% probably is much more agreeable. So in wrapping up, here is our landing site, actually a generalized landing site for SCORE itself. Click Find a Mentor right there. There are other Dave Lupians out there who are willing to help you and accelerate your path to commercialization. So with that, Dan, I'll conclude and we can talk about questions or certainly clarifications.
Okay, I'm going to read the questions as they've come in. And the first question is, how would you use a commissioned sales rep in growing your company?
Yeah. One of my clients has commission sales reps. And what you do is you find one first, and that's easily done at a trade show or just simply a Google search. You know, a Google search probably is not as um, you can't vet them as much as you can when you're actually face to face with them at a trade show. But you want to develop a relationship first and foremost. You want to understand their needs. You want to ask questions of that rep, um, and enter into a presentation format where you're saying that you can make money with my product, because that is what the commission sales rep wants out of the relationship. They want to be able to use your product um, uh, to get an easy sale, to get an easy meeting, and they want to convince their customer that this is the latest, greatest thing. So everything I just talked about in terms of value proposition, the wow demonstration, if you can show that individual rep that you have the product that their customer needs, you will have a great relationship.
Okay, Dave, next question is about QVC demographics and wondering how to better understand them.
The QVC demographics, is that what the question is, Dan?
Yes, that's correct.
A lot of people say that QVC, oh, that's just for old people. That's just for, you know, folks that are over 50. Well, that's not true. Um, that's easy to say because many folks over 50 watch QVC and Home Shopping Network. But it is, those demographics skew older, but not necessarily. Just like Facebook may skew older, but not necessarily. Predominantly women, predominantly um, um, modest income to upper income. But again, QVC and HSN is such an iconic, well-established, integrated brand into our country that, it almost goes across demographics, all demographics.
Okay, Dave, thanks for that. Here's a question about setting wholesale prices and figuring out the margin for your product relative to the wholesale price.
Right. Um, so uh, if you go to a commissioned rep, um, your net margin will be his rep fee plus your shipping. So if you have a 50% gross margin, you can expect to walk away with a 30% gross margin. So you always want to set your price as high as potentially you possible. And you have to team that price with a value proposition that is wanted and needed, demanded. I mean, you can't sell commodity product at the same price that a distributor or manufacturing rep are selling other products. That won't work. Your price should be higher and your value proposition should be more powerful and compelling. If you're competing on price, you're not going to be lasting very long in the marketplace. So you want to look at a gross margin, really, but honestly, of 50% or higher. If you're going through a distributor or a commissioned rep. If you're going direct, you're making the product, you're selling it directly to your customer. Well, of course, you can live on 30% gross margin points. But, stepwise, stepping up to a distributor, then that distributor sells to a customer. There has to be room in that price for everybody to be happy at the end of the day. So I would advise 50% or greater gross margin if you're going through a distributor or a commissioned rep.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Can you talk a little bit about the product development guide timelines that you're working with? You mentioned a pending and then applying for a patent. How do these deadlines impact your product development timelines?
That is a great question. A rule of thumb, I was burned one time where the provisional patent ran out after a year, but I had the potential licensing deal in place. So I had to reapply for the patent and spend more money. What I've learned is that, don't apply for the patent unless the product is near completion or near completion where you can immediately ship it or sell it. And if you want to apply for the provisional, do so then, but you only have 1 year. If the product is taking off and you are concerned about the competition, then bite the bullet and you have to apply for the full utility or design patent, which could be $12,000 to $15,000. I know that's intimidating, a large number, but may be necessary. If you are in a highly competitive category or environment and have a good idea that the competitor can look at and potentially copy. I hope that helps.
Okay, Dave. Kind of I'm going to combine two questions here about Amazon. The attendee is concerned about Amazon seeing his sales volume and then bringing in a knockoff and selling it at a lower price. But can you talk about that kind of competition?
Well, that will happen. And really, you can't control that because my client, excuse me, that is currently selling on Amazon is continually focused on the competition and what the competition offers. This particular client of mine sells diffuser oils, right? These are the fragrance scented oils that you put into a diffuser that scents a room and competes with Glade and Aroma 360 and a host of other products. Now, how he controls that is through his prices and deals, value packs, BOGOs, buy one, get one, Amazon Black Friday days. There are special deals that can be applied, especially with proper content. He spends a lot of time and money in generating videos for TikTok, Snapchat, and the other one that slips in my mind. But there's a lot of effort that goes into supporting product content on Amazon. So you always want to have that page. You appear early in the page and you want the good reviews. 5-star reviews, a 4.5 or higher is often demanded by Amazon. If you have a 3.0 star rating, they will put you lower in the page. And they only want the best products on the first page.
Dave, thank you for that. We have time for one or two more questions. Here's a question about B2B apps licensing. Should you license perpetually or on a subscription basis?
Yeah, that is a good question. And B2B apps are a good thing to do. What I want to say, they can be successful simply because businesses need specific information. Apps are tremendous at providing specific information, and a business will buy that app. If it can give them more information on their customers, for example, it can give them more information on payment schedules. Again, a good place to be. Dan, could you repeat that question?
Sure. The question is for licensing. For B2B apps, should you have a perpetual or a subscription license?
Um, I've never had that come up in my dealings with apps, perpetual or subscription. Um, you know, I'll have to punt on that one, guys. I don't know the answer to that, but
I'm
that's
going
a
to
great.
jump in. If you're talking for B2B app, I'm assuming you're talking about software as a service. Typically, in order to take advantage of costs and new customers, you want to license the app to the user based on the one by one user, and on an annual basis. You can call it a subscription if you like. You don't want to do a perpetual license because that cuts you off from raising prices for additional features or for additional benefits. So you really want to try for software to have an annual license for software and support, so that if you do add features or benefits and you want or a premium level of service, you can tell people when they come up for renewal, hey, we've got new stuff here that would, make your life a lot easier with whatever you're doing with the app. Would you like to buy into the additional level of support? In which case, it's more revenue for you. So in that case, for software as a service, an annual license is your best approach on a user per user basis.
Thanks, Dan. I just learned something. Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right, we have got one more question, and that is the user wants to understand if you get a patent in the US, do you have any protection globally?
Uh, no. That's why the first thing the question the lawyer will ask is, do you want to apply for international patents? The EU has their own regulations, as well as the Asian rim. So the answer to that is no.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up here. I want to remind everyone who's attending that you will receive via email to the email address that you registered with a link to the slides and also to the presentation. And as Dave mentioned, there are 3 parts to this series. Parts 1 and part 2 can be found on the SCORE Cleveland website. And you can watch the full presentation there as well for those. Thank you, everybody, for attending. We are going to end the webinar now and wish everyone have a good day.